Up here. I'm gonna announce it now.
Yeah, we are live. You guys are jumping on. Give us a second while we announce it to the group. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're catching the replay, welcome to the EasyFXSignals. This is November 30th for our live session. Seeing people join in. Let us know where you're joining from. Welcome to the call.
All right, looks good on my end.
Awesome.
I think there was one more thing. Oh yeah. All right, let's see here. We got Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We're over here in North Carolina too. Joe, are you still with us?
I'm here. Yeah, Clayton,
right,
North
cool.
Carolina in the house.
If you guys can let us know if you guys can hear us and see us clearly, much appreciated. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and we will get rocking probably next 2 or 3 minutes. We had a late announcement in the group, so we're just going to give this a few minutes to let everybody hop over. Because typically we do this at 12:30, so we're doing a little bit earlier today. So we had to announce it, and we should see people rolling on in a few minutes. Like the shirt, thanks, man, appreciate it. Up 45 minutes, nice. I love it down here. I actually just got a house down here and moved down to North Carolina to be closer to the couple of the other guys who are a part of this. What is it now, like 5 months now, Joe?
Yeah,
like give or take.
Yep.
But loving it, and I'm loving it how it's almost December 1st and it's 70 degrees out today. That, you can't beat that. So it was just snowing up in Boston. Yeah. All right, so they can hear us loud and clear. Let's go.
Share this out, guys. Share this out. Take this couple of minutes to share this out. Tag some people that aren't on the call today. We're going to be dropping some awesome nuggets today. We ran a poll in the group. If you're not in the group, you need to be in the group. And if you are in the group, definitely, we're going to be running the weekly poll just to make sure we're delivering the content that you guys want to see and what's going to help you guys. So appreciate you guys giving the feedback in there on the poll.
How about this little incentive to share? So we can see every person that shares this stream. So if you share this stream and like this stream, we'll go back and select one person out of the list, and I'll personally do a 30-minute private session with you. We'll do like a strategy session, or if you have questions or whatever you want to do.
Damn.
How's that sound?
That's pretty cool. Can I share it?
Go ahead. What's up, Chris Daly? All right, so we got a decent amount tuning on now. It's weird because the live studio, oh, never mind. It's just a little bit lagged. Should catch up. Oh, so another announcement too. We've been working on, you guys know we have a ton of stuff that we're working on. The live tracker is up now. So it's basically our built-in automated trade tracker. So anytime we send a trade out, it'll be automatically logged, and then we can update it with how that trade played out, or if it was canceled, or whatever it is, if it was stopped out, or if it hit TP, the end result, and then it's going to track all the monthly results. So if you go check it out, you can see here's just an example of. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen yet. I'll show you that when I start sharing my screen. And you'll be able to see the stats from May, June, July, August, September, up to now when we first launched. Right now, based on our previous track record, we're averaging just under 30% a month with a grand total of a positive realized net gain of just under 180%. So even though this month was a little bit slow, and obviously not what we expected, overall, we're looking really, really good for the last 7 or so months. And we're looking to close that out. I would love to see 210, well, 200 to 220 ballpark by the end of December.
Hold on, I gotta stop you, bro. I gotta stop you. You just casually said we just netted 180% since May, bro. I don't think people quite understand it, okay? And it sounds like it's not real. And a part of what we do is full transparency, no gimmicks. You're gonna get the good and the bad. We really do this, and that's freaking insane. Okay, 30% average is freaking unheard of. And it's not a small detail to pass over, and we're not even trying to overhype anything. That's incredible. It's a testament to your patience and the quality that you bring to the team, Danny. And we're really lucky to have someone like you that can really mask all the BS and pressure to send out a ton of signals. And it really proves that we're out here trying to help people grow their accounts, point blank period, above everything else. That's an incredible feat, and I'm super excited for 2021.
Man, you're gonna make me blush over here.
That's insane, dude.
But no, I appreciate it, man. Much love, much love. Appreciate it. And it's always, we want to bring that quality. You guys should start. You should. I need you to fix it for some reason. I tried to share my screen, but it's doing.
Yep, I got it.
There you guys go. So here's the live tracker. So you can see here's all the trades that were placed for November, except for the ones that were just called today. We'll update those shortly. We have one that's active now. But you can see from May, June, July, August, September, October, November, all positive months. Even on our small months, most retail traders, I mean, if you look at June, for example, right? 9%, just under 9%. I used to target 8 to 10% with my old swing trading strategy. 5% was a really good month. And I was looking to do 5 to 10% consistently on a monthly basis. So you can see, I mean, and if you look at real estate or you look at most investments out there, I was just talking with somebody who was talking about 6-figure investing and looking to get anywhere between 6 and 15% for the year. So, it's a great way to really compound your money and let, and really see some significant gains. I mean, if you add all these numbers up and you divide it by how many months we here, I believe, and you guys can fact check me there, it's right around 30% average. So we have consistency, and we've been doing this consistently for a long time. So, let me see here, you guys, and then here's the total of what we're at right now. And again, this will be updated with those last 2 trades that were placed today, because today obviously is the last of the month. So we're at 177.4% since the launch of this company, with no losing months since we birthed this back in May.
And really quick, Danny, can you hear me?
Yep.
Scroll to the top. I just saw Giuseppe asked, where can we find it? So all the way at the top, I put some notes in there. Basically, we have traders all around the world. So obviously give us a little bit of leniency. We say we're going to update it within 24 hours so that all the notes are updated. You'll see where to find support. You'll see all different information. So this is not only for our members, but it's also for people like in the general public to see what we're about. So if you ever have people asking you, how's the group? What's going on? This is a read-only sheet, and you can share it with anybody that you want so they can see what's going on inside of this awesome community that you joined. So
for sure,
hopefully that blurb up top is super helpful for you guys.
Yeah, and if you're in the VIP, I dropped the link in that already today. And the good thing about doing it like this too is, I mean, I'm sure you guys, I mean, you've probably been in signal services before. I've personally never seen a company do that. If anything, that might show like a MyFX book to entice people to join their company, but it's never a live tracking. And the thing with MyFX books, so many of those can be fabricated. This way, you know, and we've had people fact check it. We've literally had people join our community and go back and compare every trade posted to what was shown in terms of results. So that's another way that somebody, if you really wanted to, I mean, you can look at these trades, like you can scroll all the way back to May and you can look at all the trades that we sent out, and you can see all the different entries and all the different charts and how we ended those trades. It's all there, right? You know, and you can't hide that stuff. That's months and months and months of data that's going to be available, you know. So I think that's better than having you know, a MyFX book, to be honest with you. But you know, you can't. I mean, I guess you could if you really wanted to, but it's just, you know, it's just a way that we feel is the best way to be transparent with our members and people who might be members down the road. So, oh yeah, so we had a quick announcements. Then we're gonna jump right into the training. And we did a poll today in our VIP chat, and we let you guys select between the 3 topics. I believe it was top-down analysis. I believe it was signature pattern breakdown, and then time and price. You know, the time and price algorithm. And let's go up and see the poll. I'm pretty sure I know which one. So top-down analysis is ahead by 45%, 25% signature pattern, 30% time and price. So I can maybe tie in a little bit of all of that with just doing the top-down analysis. So, but before we get into that, quick announcements, just to give you guys a couple updates. So we're carrying over that Black Friday deal into today for Cyber Monday. So it's the for the yearly, it's the 360, right, Joe? It's 360 for the year.
Yeah, right now. Normally $4.99
right
on the screen.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So you guys will see it. So normally it's $4.99 for the year, which is still really, I mean, really good, especially with the value that's dropped and what is coming right now over the next several weeks that we have. That's going to be integrated. And then we also have 50% off for the monthly. And the monthly's normally $99 a month. So you can get that also 50% off. And this ends today. We just wanted to run that through for Cyber Monday. A couple other things as well. So I have a lot of people, if you guys know, we had a lot of different EAs and things that were available in our, you know, our previous, available to our members in our previous groups. Like one was an exit manager, and there was a lot of people that were asking, you know, do you have anything like that available to your members? And we do. So I have had custom EAs built, and we have one that's an exit manager. Basically, if you're not familiar with an exit manager, it's a really good tool that I got familiar with early on in my trading career, especially when I was still working. And it's something that's just going to manage your trades. So like it's not going to enter you into trades. So let's say you take one of our trades and you get into it, but you're not going to be around. Like let's say you're sleeping, or if you're at work and you're not there to, you know, move your stop loss to break even, or if there's a certain point that you want to take partial profits or whatever it is, right? It can trail your stop loss. It does a lot of these different things. All you do is just drag it right onto the chart for that trade, and you just set in exactly what you want. You can type in 20 pips and it'll move your stop loss to 20 pips. Or if price goes 50 pips, you can have it move your stop to break even plus 2 pips to cover the spread. You can also select trailing stop loss true, and you type in how many pips. Or you can do fractal, which is, you know, you can do 5-minute fractal. So every time you're buying, right, and there's a new 5-minute fractal, which means there's a new higher low confirmed, it'll bring your stop loss up to that, right? So there's a lot of functionality to it, and you can customize it however you want. I mainly used it just to get my trades break even after they're usually running 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or whatever it is. And then I would also take partial profits, which you can also set it to. So it's a really good tool that will be available to everybody in the group. You know, just keep things hands off, especially if you're not available. So that's going to be something awesome. If you guys like the sound of that, let us know. Smash the heart button. And then also too, quick update on the Discord. So we're going to be transferring over. So these are the plans. So with what we want to do with the educational stuff, We're going to do a live stream every Monday here publicly on this Facebook group. And then the additional live streams and live trading. So like, for example, like NFT, if we go live and want to trade and actually do what we do with you guys all watching, that's going to be streamed directly into the Discord. And we can't do that in other platforms like Telegram. And then it can also house, and some of you guys are familiar with my other Discord, it'll be very similar to that, where you can house everything under one roof. There's multiple different categories where we can house the course that we're working on. You guys know I have hundreds and hundreds of hours and favorited videos. So I'm going to be making a very detailed course, a complete breakdown from like my old series of like treating trading like a business, everything. So it's all going to be housed there. And we have our developers. I think, Joe, we're meeting with them today or tonight,
yep,
if I'm not wrong. So we're meeting with them tonight because we just need to figure out a couple things. We need to figure out security, and we also need to figure out how we can automatically manage everything. So right now, our developers, they built automation inside our Telegram, meaning when you sign up, it'll automatically manage your personal subscription. And if you cancel or whatever it might be, it will automatically add and remove you from the group, right? Especially when we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, we can't be doing that manually. So we need to make sure that we can also do that in our Discord. So that is all being worked on, and we meet with the developers tonight. So we want to get that stuff. We're already planning everything and getting everything kind of, organized. And then once we get the go ahead and they get all that stuff coded, we're going to shift right in there. And that we think that's going to be really powerful too, because we're going to have a VIP chat where, you'll be able to chat with the traders, myself, and other members. It's just going to be a lot of good stuff. So, like we said, our vision for this is not to just trade and send out signals. It's much bigger than that. We have a much bigger vision. We want to really create a community of really beast traders. I mean, I've developed a lot of six-figure traders. I've helped countless people quit their job. If you're in this chat and I've directly impacted your life in terms of trading or helped you trade full-time or quit your job, drop a 7 in the chat. Like, let people know what we were really about this, right? And we really help people. So
I love that.
The stuff that we have happening, like, it's really powerful. And we want to build a community where it's not just, here's a trade, take it, and that's that. We want to teach you how to really achieve your goals and the success that you desire through trading, right? My goal now, I've had people that have done 6 figures. I've had a few people build 6-figure accounts from smaller accounts, and I've had multiple people go on to get funding to get on 6-figure accounts. And I want to get 100 people within the next year trading 7-figure accounts. That's my personal goal.
And
100 people.
I want to piggyback on that, Danny, real quick. So a lot of times, so you guys know we run advertising and stuff to try and gain exposure to our brand outside of obviously our network, like you guys and a lot of people that know Danny. And there's just such a stigma in the marketplace with signals and Forex. And it was a main motivator for us to create this community, because we know there's people out there like us and like you guys that actually want to learn this skill and build camaraderie around a community. But the biggest thing, and something that like Danny, myself, and our other partner and team, we talk about all the time is, and we talk about it often, is just how freaking pumped we are to see the testimonials when they come in. Like right now, we're running that November giveaway and just about everyone's experience. And the fact that we asked for a video is because we actually want to see your faces. We want to see real people having change inside of this community. It gives us butterflies. It gives us chills. It gives us purpose. It's why we show up and sacrifice literally thousands of hours at this point. And we don't care about the money. Like, we want to make sure that you guys are making money. And that is the ultimate payoff for us, is to change people's lives. And it's awesome, man. I'm like, I get chills talking about it. And
we haven't even made money with this company yet. Full transparency. So, I mean, it's really, and that's the God's honest truth. We just got our investment back, and we sunk a lot of money into this. We just got our investment back. I don't even know if we got all that back yet. But I mean, the vision's bigger than that. Like, there's things that we have in the works that are gonna far exceed the potential of what we can do with memberships in this company. And I can promise you that without getting into too many details. So, because I have a lot of different connections and people that I'm personally connected to with funds connected to the trading world, and there's just a lot more funds available. And I put people into 6-figure accounts. I put people into 50K accounts, 10K accounts, and that is ultimately what I would like to have, you know, in our community, build up traders, really strong traders, consistent traders that can obviously, you know, have a MyFX book, you know, documenting what you're doing and build that resume, and then, you know, provide funding, right? That's what I would like to do, because that's how I got my start, and that's how I was able to scale so quickly. You know, getting myself into that position where I could, you know, show people numbers and show people kind of like a portfolio that I built. And I had people that gave me a chance, right? With no, you know, without, you know, years and years of experience, without 7 series license, without a lot of that stuff. And I had people give me a chance, right? And it obviously paid out. So I know what it's like to be in that, you know, be in that position of not having a lot of money to trade with, having big goals, and, you know, not knowing people who, you know, especially like, you know, where I came from and the people that I was involved with, like, when I was running amok back in the day, I didn't know.
Hey guys, I'm still here. I think we lost Danny for a second. Yeah, we together in North Carolina, so I'm not sure if he's having issues with his internet. I know mine is a lot slower than it normally is. So give us 1 second. Let me know if you can hear me. This is Joe.
Joe, is your connection good?
I mean, it's not good on. Hopefully people can hear me. You're back on.
Dude, it's the live studio. It's the live studio. Because, I mean, you guys know I stream. I've been streaming weekly multiple times for years now, and I never cut out like this. It's this live stream. I've only had problems with internet when we use this, so we need to use something else.
That's fine. We could probably go to Zoom.
All right, so let's share the screen. I think we're good with the announcements. Let's just get right into the charts. All right, let's see. You guys should see the screen popping up in a second here.
Yep, as soon as I see it, I'll get it on there. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, it should be there in 2 seconds.
Yep.
All right. And if I start breaking up or whatever it is, it says I have my full connection. That's just really weird. I don't know if it feeds off of our connection.
You're good now.
But all right, so all right. Oh, here's our active trade in the group right now. So it looks like we are triggered and pushing into profit now. So this is a nice little signature pattern here. And I posted a couple of examples of different signature patterns on different time frames and in the group today. But what we're going to go over today, and I feel like this is a topic that a lot of people have trouble with, is a full top-down analysis. And a lot of people think you can just hop on and, you know, you can jump on 15-minute or a 1 hour chart or a 4 hour chart, and you can find your setup on that without really having to read the whole picture. And that's kind of like what I prefer to reading the markets like. It's pretty identical to reading a book, right? If you open up a book, right? I actually have one right here. if I open up this book right here and I just open up to any random page and I read one paragraph in this page right here, in this random chapter, am I going to have any idea about what this book is about? Same thing if I were to just maybe scroll to the end and just read one chapter. I'm still not going to have an idea of what this book is about. I might have an idea of what the chapter is about, but I'm not going to have a good idea of the whole story that is painted for me by reading the entire book. And that's how the markets need to be interpreted. You have to read the markets like you're reading a book. And that's where the top-down analysis comes from, because all these time frames, it's all fractal. So you need to consider weekly and monthly time frames, you know, starting out big and reading that whole book, right down to like those 1 minute, 5 minutes. That's like reading, you know, a couple words or a sentence, right? So 1 hour, 4 hour, that'd be like reading a couple chapters. You really need to get a whole picture and read that whole story to get a really good understanding of what price is going to do. So I'm going to do a breakdown of what I'm looking for on higher time frames all the way down. So we're going to start from a monthly, go down from a weekly, daily, all the way down, and we can work it right down all the way to 1 minute. So let me switch pairs. Drop a pair in the chat. I was looking at Euro USD pretty closely today, and we might have a setup on this one. So this one might be worth looking at, but I'll let you guys drop it. You guys can pick the pair, and we'll do a top-down analysis on that. And given where we're at for time, maybe we can get into another pair. No, I actually didn't have a I didn't have a monster. I have one. I got one in the fridge. It's been sitting in the fridge for a little bit. I just haven't had one. EU, AU, AU, AU. I'm actually surprised with the AUs. That's a pair I personally don't trade. Very slow moving pair. So EU, a lot of majors. I'm not going to do UCAD because, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. We just did UCAD. I feel like I've done UCAD multiple times in the last week or so.
You already know which one I'm going to tell you.
Which? EU?
CJ. It's Bay, bro.
Oh, yeah. All right, so one thing that I do, right, since everybody's dropping majors, right, let me go to the DXY. The DXY is something I'm always paying attention to when I'm looking at the majors, and you can get a lot of information and kind of get a good idea of what all majors are doing just by looking at the DXY. The DXY is the strength of the US dollar. So typically when you see a bullish DXY, right, as of lately, not so much. Gold has been running pretty congruent with it, but most cases, especially with gold, when I'm trading gold, if I'm seeing a bullish dollar, I'm looking for a bearish gold, right? I'm looking for metals to be bearish, right? It's very similar with EU and GU. When you're looking at a bullish DXY, right, you guys can see that big, we got a nice bullish engulfing candle here, nice push up today in the last, what do we got? The last 5.5 hours, DXY has been making a nice bullish run. So if you look at, you know, Euro USD, for example, right, you can see we have a big bearish move here, very congruent to this. It's just an inverted copy. DXY and Euro USD, they're probably the most closely correlated, especially because the DXY is heavily weighted by the euro. But, you know, when you're looking at, you know, USD CAD, right, we're seeing a nice bullish move here, engulfing candle, very similar to the DXY. So I don't even have to look at USD Chef. It's pushing up, right? Boom, pushing up. Great Britain USD. Let's see what Great Britain USD is doing, right? Similar to Euro USD. When we see a bullish dollar, we're seeing a weakening GU, right? Now, this isn't every time, but you can have a really good idea of what's happening, especially when you're looking at the DXY structurally, okay? So what I'm doing now, if I'm going to break down the DXY first, right, I'm hopping up to monthly time frames. And what I'm doing from these higher time frames, let me ask you, what do you think the most important thing that you want to be doing on a higher time frame first? Right? If you pull up a monthly time frame, what do I want to be looking at first? Yes, we're still in German 30, and it's running. Let's see, we're running in small profit. I was going to have a tighter stop on that, but I just played the higher time frame. Could have had probably an entry on the 786, which would have probably put us at 1-to-1 right now. We're running about 210 points in the blue right now. So you guys are just telling me now we got the wrong screen up. Let me see. Let me just switch this. You guys should be seeing, I haven't really done too much yet. I mean, I haven't marked anything up yet, but sorry, I got multiple screens for anybody that is not familiar with my streams. But what do I want to be doing on these higher time frames first? When I hop up to the DXY, Joe, you might need to fix it for me again. There we go. All right, so like really quickly, all I was doing was showing a correlation between DXY and the majors and showing, let me see here, right? And showing that, you know, when we have a bullish dollar right now, we're seeing EU and GU fall. We're seeing UCAD, we're seeing USD Chef all make a push up, right? So when I'm looking at the DXY on a monthly time frame, what do I want to be doing first? Yeah, structure is one of them, right? I'm looking at market structure. Then I'm also identifying anything significant in terms of the concepts that we're trading, right? Smart money concepts. So when I'm looking here, right, and I pointed this out in the VIP group today, there's a couple things that happen in very, very important areas, right? Very specific areas that happen before any type of big move, right? There's a buildup of liquidity. It's basically kind of enticing people into the market too early, right? And that's what builds up liquidity. So when you look at any type of big move, it almost looks like it's going to go in the other way, and then it just slams the other way. And that's the manipulation. That's where a lot of people think they got stop hunted or they just got unlucky. But it's designed that way. It's designed to generate that liquidity to fill those massive orders that these institutions are filling, right? So there's a couple things that I see here that are pretty significant, especially when you look in the terms of how retail traders are marking up their charts, right? They're identifying patterns mainly with trend lines. So, you know, if you see, especially like, you know, you got Elliott waves and stuff like that, where you got expanding wedges and you got ABC corrections and you got all these different things, right? And they're marking up different patterns, maybe like this. So even looking at something like this, if you had this pattern like this, right? And let me get rid of this here. What would people, for the most part, be doing in an area like this, right? Especially when they're looking left and you have, you know, a pretty significant area right here. Let me make this red so it's very easy to see, right? And you have this area here. Make that black, so right. We have an area where there's support. We have two areas here where we got this little double top here and price found resistance in this area. And if you drag it over, right, you can see how we have this pattern here, and you can see how it's also playing right into this pretty significant break retest level, right? The support level here. This is where traders are loading up positions to take price long, right? Or they're going to look for price to break through this level, and then it automatically switches their perspective, and they're going to look for shorts, right? That's the whole break retest thing that's taught everywhere, right? You have a level here, and it breaks through this resistance, so now we're going to be looking for retest and buy, right? It's back testing that, so you look for buying, and if it were to break through this level, right, that floor now becomes a ceiling, and you'd be looking for resistance, right? So that's where the manipulation comes into play, where they'll slam price down into these areas, taking up all the liquidity that's building from these orders in these areas, and then people will maybe have sell stops locked and loaded in these areas underneath these support levels, knowing that if it breaks, now it's going to be resistance. Or you'll have people that will just wait for that break, and then they'll look for that retest, where smart money can just keep sending that up. And what they're doing is they're wiping out the people who are buying too early, and the people that shifted their perspective into selling. And when that happens, that's what's creating an institutional candle. And the real proof that it's manipulation in these areas, who can tell me what the proof is? What's the proof in the pudding to know that that's really happening? What takes place afterwards? And these are like the real focus points that I like to pay attention to. What are you going to see happening afterwards? Who can tell me? It might be getting dark on my camera. We have a ton of rain and it's getting super cloudy out. So, all right, what do you see happening after? How do you know? Engulfing can be a part of it. I do like to see an engulfing candle, but what is the price action going to look like after this manipulation? Right? What is it going to look like? It cuts them off and then it actually goes there. Yeah, you're going to see a pretty big move, right? Like, and that's where I used to get jammed up in trading, like, you know, pretty early on in my career when I first started, and it would just drive me nuts. I would get so frustrated because I was a big break retest trader, right? I drew trend lines everywhere. I was looking for, you know, my big thing was I would look for a trending market. I'll show you guys exactly what I used to look for. Right, so I would look for a trending market, something like this, right? I know it's not going to be exact. I'm just showing you for example's sake, right? I would look for a trending market like this, creating higher highs, higher lows, typically on like a 15-minute, 1 hour, and then I would want to see it break a level like this. And then when it comes back down to that trend line, right, I would also have like my moving average, something like this. And then I would also have like a support level. And I would look for like that level there where there's 3 intersecting levels of confluence, all telling me support, right? And ideally, I would like to see like a double bottom, like kind of what we're seeing here, form in that area. And I would look to go long, right? But what would take place over and over and over again, which would drive me insane, and especially early on, like I thought I was just doing something wrong, or maybe I was just getting unlucky, or maybe I was just putting my stop loss in the wrong place, right? Price would maybe come down a little bit deeper than I expected, and then it would go exactly where I anticipated. Like I read the structure right. I was always pretty early on. I was always really good at, you know, or pretty good, I guess I should say, at reading higher time frame market structure. I always had a really good idea of where price was going, and more often than not, it was going in my way, but my entries were getting slaughtered. I was hitting my stop losses way more often than I was hitting TPs. And it was just literally like I wasn't aware of what was taking place behind the scenes. Like I was relying on these support levels and these trend lines and these indicators for support. And like hearing myself say that out loud now, it just kind of, it sounds so stupid, but I just didn't know better, right? Like I thought these trend lines and these, you know, all invisible scribbles that I'm putting on the chart are what price respected, right? I thought this is what was moving price, and it's couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Trend lines and all these levels, right? They don't move the market, right? Volume moves the market. That's it, right? So you have to really get a good understanding of what's taking place behind the scenes, right? What are these big institutions doing? What are these big, well-funded traders doing, right? And they're not doing what you're doing. They're not trading how you trade or retail trading. They're not, you know, using indicators. Like a lot of the candles and stuff that they're looking at, they're just looking at their volume, right? And they have order books and they can see so much information, and they're not doing it based on trend lines or support. They're not like looking for price to come down to a support level and they're like, oh, this is a good level, we're going to stop buying. Because think of what smart money's doing. They're going to sell higher than you and they're going to buy lower than you. They have these remodel programs, or not programs. I'll get into the algorithms later, but they have, you know, these pricing models, right, to give themselves a better price. Like if let me show you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Anybody been paying attention to Bitcoin and what Bitcoin's doing right now, or what it did in the last couple of days leading up to what it's doing right now? Let me drag it over from another chart. Can you guys hear that rain? It is absolutely pouring right now. Absolutely pouring right now. So I want to show you guys something really quick, and girls. So if you're looking at Bitcoin, right, and we're looking at this chart, right, and you can clearly see here, Bitcoin has been trending up, since, I mean, probably early on in the beginning of the year, maybe like April, May, give or take. And right here, it's gotten some real good strength and it's trending up. And up until recently, right, I think it was Friday, we had this pretty significant move here, right? And if you look at it, right, if you look at it, especially like in levels, like, let me do this. Right, where you can, I'm not going to go super far down, but let me throw, you got your, you got your trend lines, or however you want to, that's probably, I haven't drawn trend lines in quite some time here, so give me a second here. All right, you got your trend lines and you got all these different things, and this is why trend lines are just so subjective, because you got so many different points. Let's just take that one for example's sake, just because it's higher up near the price action. Then you got, support, retest, break, retest levels here, right? You can see resistance, now support, right? So this is all buying, right? People are buying here. And what do you think people are doing when they see something like this happen? Right, what do you think? What do you think is taking place right there when you see this? From a retail standpoint, what are people doing here? That's how I still feel now. Entries aren't always correct, but I'm correct on where price is going. Well, you'll get there. It's a process. What do you think people are doing right here when they see something like this? Like, and I was talking with people on Friday who were telling me kind of like a play-by-play of what they were doing with Bitcoin. Yeah, people are selling here, right? People are getting rid of their positions. There was somebody that I know that was buying Bitcoin, and when they saw this happening, they unloaded their positions. And I'm like, I mean, you really shouldn't be. What it's doing, it's designed to scare people out of the market, right? One of the things my mentor told me early on that's always stuck with me, when price is coming into your entry, it's designed to look scary. Like, it's designed to make you second guess what's going to happen. It wants to get you emotional and throw you off your game and make you make a bad or emotional decision because they're getting ready for a big move, right? That's exactly what took place here with Bitcoin. A lot of people are looking at this and, they broke the trend line, or it broke moving averages, or it broke a support level, or whatever it is, or made a big push to the downside, right? A lot of people are getting pushed out of their positions on Bitcoin, right? And this happens in every market, right? And then what a lot of people might do, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin, I'm just saying for example's sake, when people see stuff like this, right, and you have another little break retest level here, now that trend line broke, they're looking for maybe a flag, a pullback, a break retest of that trend line, they're looking for selling. But look what took place here. And I promise you, this wasn't by accident, this wasn't random, this was completely designed this way. And now look at Bitcoin the following day. Not the following day, but the next couple of days up to now, right? Completely reversed, and now it's shooting up, and it made an all-time high. I believe we took out the all-time high. Yeah, so we just took out the all-time high, right? And that's where a lot of liquidity is sitting as well, previous highs and lows, right? So that stuff is going to happen all the time, kind of shake and bake, right? Kind of throw you off your positions, or just stop on. Like a lot of that move right there, if it's not scaring people out of their positions, it's taking people out with their stop losses, right? All these people who are buying trend lines, right? There's a lot of liquidity under these lows, and that's just clearing the board before they make their push. And ultimately, it's giving smart money a better price, right? Because they're going to get price down, right? And get that repricing model to, get a better price before buying. They're going to buy lower and sell higher every time, right? So let's go back to the DXY. Does that make sense? Is everybody following along with that? because that plays into a big role of what I'm going to show you here with, let me go back to the DXY here. Yeah, so they would be looking for sells, and that's what happens all the time. Like same with this level here. Like if you're looking, like it doesn't, like erase from your mind that this is a monthly time frame, right? Let's just say this was a 1 hour time frame and you saw this level here and it broke and you have a trend line and it did this. You're automatically going to start thinking of selling, right? You're going to look for a retest and you're going to look for selling, right? That's just how so many of these people are conditioned in the marketplace because of what's being taught, right? All right, so everybody's following along. So I want you to pay attention to what takes place here in this level here. Oops, I didn't mean to draw a text message there. All right, I want you to pay attention to what takes place here, right? We can see price is sitting in that support, in that trend line right now. Now watch what happens. And this is what kind of summarizes what I'm kind of getting at and what used to happen to me all the time. All right, so we can see price even pushing up there, right? It started to push up. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. Let me go back. All right, so pay attention to this, right? Price pulls into that support and that trend line and starts pushing up, and now look at it, right? It slams below these levels, right? It broke that support level. It broke that trend line, right? Even if there was no trend line there and we're just looking at that support resistance, people aren't thinking to buy here. People aren't thinking, oh, there's manipulation here. They're just wiping people out before they go up, and they don't even know how to play those, right? People are shifting into selling. Now watch. And again, the proof that this is manipulation, that they're just clearing house, is you're going to see that move that you were anticipating, the move that you wanted to see. Now you're going to see it after they wipe this out. Now you're going to see that big move, that big expansion. It might be a little bit slower because I'm on a monthly. Right, so now that right there, what you're seeing there, that's where people are getting in for that break retest. Now they're looking to short. So they've wiped out the buyers, people who are buying on this level and putting their stop losses in this area. They're taken out with this, and now sellers who are in the game, right? Maybe they're selling the trend line, maybe they're selling the resistance. Their stop losses are, somewhere up in this ballpark here. Let's keep this playing. Right? Now they're getting wiped out, right? So it's a situation where this is how they can wipe retail buyers and sellers, right? And this is where signature patterns are formed, right? So I'm going to take this out of replay mode just for time's sake, but we'll go back to that point. I want to show you the move, right? So now that this came down and wiped it out, now that's what led to that big push up. Let me get rid of this here. And there was a good example that I posted in the chat today. Let me see if I can find it on Euro USD, right? So this is the making. Now, this wasn't one that I was going to take mainly because of market structure, and I wanted to see something develop without this running away. But look what took place here. And you're going to see this on all time frames. That was an example of a monthly, and this is an example of a 1 minute, right? You can see the resistance level right here, right? This is where liquidity is building, right? Big liquidity pool generating right here. Most people are looking at this level and they're looking for the shorts there. But watch what happens before the move. Let me slow it down a little bit because this is the 1 minute. And it's the same deal, right? If people are going to look for buying, they're probably going to look for that right there. They want to see price push up and break this level. And immediately they're going to go into looking for a retest. This is where people do buy stops, right? And they're going to look for buying. The last thing anyone is thinking is going to happen after this move here is this. Is price just run off and completely melt. They're not thinking that's going to happen. manipulation right there. All right, so let's go back to the DXY. All right, so what I'm doing here on a monthly time frame is I want to identify significant areas. For me, this is a significant area. Who can tell me why? Because that was that area that was taking out liquidity, and it's the last down candle before this up move. So I want to mark this monthly candle here, right? And I also, what I'm doing too on higher time frames, when I'm looking at monthly and weekly time frames, I'm also taking the 50% of these big candles, right? Because this candle here is pretty significant on a monthly time frame. It's probably, let's see, yeah, so that's hundreds of pips right there, right? So the main reason why I'm taking the 50% of these bigger candles, there we go, the higher time frame candles, 50% monthly bankers candle, right? Is because the majority of the volume is going to lie in the 50%, the body, the middle point, the median of these higher time frame bankers candles. Yeah, you're right. This was a candle that was grabbing money, right? Because look, I mean, it almost doesn't make sense when you look at it, because it'll look like it's really making a nice push down, and then it just reverses. It does a 180, and it looks like it's out of nowhere. But we know it was grabbing liquidity. It was wiping people out before that push up. So when these areas happen, price is going to come back to them, because this is where smart money is in drawdown, right? They're buying to sell and selling to buy. So this gives us a couple different points of interest that we want to pay attention to on higher time frames, monthly and weekly. One, we can use them for targets. We're not entering off these candles. We're using them as points of interest, potential turnaround points, potential reversal points, right? So we want to see what happens at these areas, right? These significant areas here, right? So this candle here, right, when price initially came down, we saw a little bounce, and price is trading a little bit deeper, and it looks like we're getting close to that 50% of that candle there, right? And this is where we can also factor in imbalance. This is where we can also factor in liquidity. There's a lot of different things that we can do, but we're basically identifying anything significant like that on a higher time frame, and then I'm also trying to get an idea of what market structure is telling us. You can do this very easily by just flicking over to a line chart, right? You go on TradingView and you can see it right up here. Now, if I was looking at this, what do you guys have? What would you think this is right now? How would you categorize what's taking place here, structurally speaking? I know there's a little bit of a lag. I wish this was faster, like Zoom is, where I can see the responses really quickly. Yeah, so somebody said lower low. Somebody said pullback. Flag. Right, so the way that I'm looking at it here is one, right? We can see this point here, and we saw a price come up here, and we have some really strong monthly structure in here, and you can see it here, where price was making those higher highs and higher lows, and same concept that I was just showing you down here, but you can see where it reacted to up here, right? This last up candle right here before the down move, right? Very similar to over here, where you have these perfect equal highs, that resistance level, and it's basically flip-flopped to what I just showed you down here, right? Coming back here, if you look at this, right, and you saw price pulling up to this level, it's one of two things, right? You're looking for price to bounce this or break this, because I mean, this is monthly, right? You got to respect the higher time frames like that. You can drag it over, and what do they say? You got to look left to get right, and you're looking for all these touches to confirm that it's a valid support resistance level. and you're looking for shorts or you're looking for that break, retest, buy. And we can see what took place. Price pushed up here and then came down. And look at that break retest there. It failed and it came down. So it took out any liquidity on the top side here from that double top. And then any buyers down here that were looking for that break retest there, especially with that trending market. Probably have a lot of people drawing trend lines back when this took place like this, right? You have that overlap and you probably have that moving average there that people love. And then price broke down. And look where price came all the way back up to, right to that weekly FU candle. And then that's when this started falling. That's where we saw our monthly break of structure, right? And they were coming back down to this point of interest here, right? After this push up. So you can see it's kind of like an inverted copy of itself, right? What happened on the bottom is also happening on the top. So let me get rid of this here. Right. So right now with this, with what we're seeing here, dollar is obviously extremely bearish right now in my eyes, right? Just seeing this here. We have that FU mitigation. We have that monthly break of structure here, right? We have that lower high here. We have that break of structure here. And now we're trading in that point of interest. We're in that monthly bankers candle now, right? So that's definitely an area that we want to pay attention to. Right, and we can also see there's a potential of bullish divergence forming right here. Right, so what I personally would like to see, right, and what I can kind of anticipate here with what we're seeing here is I initially was looking for that reaction there, which we did see on a weekly time frame right there. I wanted to see this pull back a little bit before down. I want to see the DXY continue to break down. I want to see the liquidity taken out down here. And we also have a little bit of unhealthy price action here and here. And there's probably a decent amount of imbalance that is created when price just runs up here, like we're seeing here. Right, so I definitely am on the bearish side of this DXY. Right, now we can drop down to a daily time frame. I'll go to a weekly first. Weekly is not too much different than what we're seeing on a monthly time frame here. Let's go down to a daily. Right, it's very similar to in terms of what we're seeing here too. Right, when people got those, these are something that I used to mark up all the time when I first started trading. And you'll have people call them different things, reversal patterns and what have you, right? And you're looking for price to, do this and maybe break out, right? And then you're looking for that buy there, right? Looking for a support, whatever it is, different things to try to catch that reversal, right? It took me a long time to realize that this was just trying to catch a falling knife, right? And look at the price action here, what takes place, right? You have it happening right there, right? Price came and took out this low, and that's what really sent price pushing up, and it broke structure, right? And then you can see it came back down and tested in this area there, right? And then pushed up, right? So what are people doing here after seeing this, right? You got a daily break of structure, right? It traded out of this reversal pattern. It gave you a nice little flag here. It gave you a nice bullish expansion here. What are people looking for here? And one of the biggest things that I can really enlighten you with is you really want to think in terms of opposites. Like what the majority of people are doing is what you want to stay away from, especially with trading, just because of how heavily manipulated this marketplace is. Yeah, so I mean, I would agree with that and say most people are probably looking for buying scenarios here, especially with this, right? Like most people are not going to see this and say, okay, this high was just taken. We have a series of highs, higher lows, right? Most people here are shifting into buying. Most people here are not looking at selling opportunities here, right? And then we can see, let's continue with this price action here. Right, so this was interesting price action here. That would have been an area I would have been paying attention to, especially after we had price trade right down into that daily bankers candle here, right? That last down candle before this big push up, it made a little pullback and it started to go. It created these equal highs, right? Price pushed down, took out this low, took out these lows here, broke this structure. You can see it on a daily time frame. It traded below this and spiked up, grabbing all of this money. And then let's see what happened. And it would have been just short of that daily candle there, right? So do you guys see why I shifted into selling there? We have liquidity. We have this daily bankers candle or FU candle. It would have been different had this structure point been maintained, right? But we had a target here that built liquidity, downside liquidity, broke structure here, price pushed up, cleared this, and then came right up just short of that daily bankers candle. You guys see that? And then fell off. Let's keep playing it out. All right, so that's going to bring us into this current price action now. And I can get rid of this line here. And we can see that price traded right into this order block right here. Right, we have that expansion of the downside. After that reaction, this looks just like USD CAD as of recently. Cleared out the liquidity here. Played just short of this last up candle before that down move. Price pushed down here, gave us that lower low here. Price gave us a little pullback here, came right into this bullish order block, and then started breaking down. Same thing here. After it started breaking down here, you can see it came right up into this last up candle, right? That played into this one, right? Price came right up into it, played into this one, and now it's pushing down. Let's go to a 4-hour time frame. Right, it's almost like, look at this. Look how manipulated that is right there. Right, that's a candle that people, the last thing that they're thinking of is selling. Right, people are going to be looking to buy with candles like that. Right, 4-hour bullish engulfing candle, and then you see something like this, and just trades right through it. Right, if that's not manipulation, then I don't know what is. All right, so now we can see price right now. It's stepping down pretty clean. We have some pretty healthy price action. What I mean by that is basically what I just showed you with those daily time frame candles. You can see this last up candle here, right? I'm usually paying attention to the open or the 50%, right? Let me see. Let me mark that 50% of this candle here. Right, 50% of that daily candle there. Get rid of those. And we can see price traded. It didn't respect the open, but it came right up into the 50%. Then price started pushing down. We can see this last up candle here. Price looks like it came a little short and then pushed down. Right, and now we have price making another push to the downside, and we can see it pulling back right now. Looks like we're very short into this candle as well. So right now, I would need to see more information before I even think about buying on this, especially with what we're looking at on the weekly time, or excuse me, the monthly time frame, right? we have that point of interest, and I can almost guarantee you, without even hammering into lower time frames, that we have some inefficient price action right here, right? Where only buying, or like when you guys, for anybody that is new or not familiar with some of these terms, like imbalance or gaps or inefficient, or there's all these different names, fair value gaps, and all these different names. It's basically when price is moving so fast in one direction. This is where like slippage can occur, when price is moving so fast in one direction that either just buying is offered or just selling is offered, right? And that's where, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced slippage where, you have a stop loss for 1%, but you get taken out and it takes 2% from your account, right? And it's typically happening when there's, fundamentals or an expansion or something that's causing price to move very aggressively in one way very fast, where if it's pushing down really quickly, right, there's nobody buying, right? They can't fill those orders. So there's a transaction that's taking place, right? When you're getting in the market and trying to buy something and you want it to go up, right? And then you sell those positions at a higher price to make a profit, right? So when you get stopped out and you're buying at a certain level, let's say you buy the dollar at 90 cents and it drops down to your stop loss at 80 cents and you get stopped out, there's still a transaction. Like, you're not just taken out of the market and your money's removed from your account. There's a transaction that's taking place. You're selling back those positions, but at a loss, right? It's like buying and selling stock. Like if you bought Tesla stock at, let's just say $300 and it comes down to $200 and you're down money, right? You're selling back that stock. You're selling back that position, but at a lower price, right? At a loss. It's the same thing that's happening when you're getting hit at that stop loss, right? So that's when slippage can occur, and that's where you see imbalance, right? Where price is only traded one way, and you're going to see price come back and fill these imbalances because the market always needs balance, right? So we're using imbalances as multiple different ways, right? We're using them for, when we're stacking confluences for profit taking, right? If we see an area of liquidity, we see, a daily banker's candle, and we see an area of imbalance, like that would be an area that we would want to target, right? Like if we're looking at this and this is pushing down and we have imbalance here, we have this banker's candle here, which lines up with the 50% of this candle here. And then let's say there was equal lows formed here, right? There's three significant things that would tell us that price would want to come down, clean that unhealthy price action, mitigate that banker's candle, and take out that liquidity. All right, so that's why it's really important to identify that stuff on a higher time frame and get those logical areas, right? Let me go down to a daily time frame and let me show you. I'll hammer into some of that price action. All right, so here's that push up here, right? This is where I suspected that we're going to see, right? This is where I suspected that we're going to see some imbalance in this move here. So I'm just going to take this area here. All right, we can see some on a daily, but I'll just go down to like a 15-minute to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. It took me out of the replay mode, I believe. Yeah, that's too old. But let me show you an example here of imbalance. All right, so it's very similar with, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with gaps or unhealthy price action like this. It's the same thing where if you see this gap here and price was where it's blank here, and now you can see price traded up through that, that would be an example of this gap being filled, right? So it's the same thing when we're looking at imbalance, where if you look at, I'll even hammer down to a 1 minute so you can get a real clear picture of it. Right, so if you look in this area here, right, you can see price traded up. We have unhealthy price action, and we have imbalance, right? I'll just take this area here. Right, price was only offered up. Price was only traded through this zone. Right, and if we see price trade down back through this zone, right, that would be an example of imbalance being filled, where price is traded up and down through that zone, right? And that's very important. And that's the market creating a balance for itself, or creating balance. All right. So with this information, let's go to EU. I'll do the top down on EU, and then we'll end it on that. So let's go to a monthly time frame, right? And one important thing I want to tell you about a monthly time frame is you really need to treat it as if it was like a 1 hour time frame. A lot of people get shy marking up monthly and weekly time frames, thinking that, you know, information that was, you know, years old is just not relevant, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And a lot of you know, if you've been watching me mark up charts for the last couple of years, like I've pointed out bankers candles that were years and years and years old, that we saw price just recently ping them perfectly. I think like Euro odd was a really good example on a monthly time frame, where we had a monthly signature pattern. We can see this last monthly up candle right here, that last up candle before this really big push to the downside. And look where price traded all the way back up to almost to the pip, trading up to that monthly candle. And that monthly candle right there, that monthly FU candle, that was back in January 09. And look where price traded right up to, pinged it, and then just fell 3,000 plus pips. Right? Just from a big monthly signature pattern. Price ranged, price gave all-time highs, clearing the board, clearing all of these highs, clearing this range, slamming to the downside, taking out all these bottoms, creating an all-time high, an all-time low, and then price trading all the way back up to that all-time high, exactly to that monthly FU candle, and that's where the reaction happened. That's not by coincidence. That's not random, right? Let me show you another example on Euro USD. This is one that we did trade live. All right, so pay attention here. Here's an example of accumulation, right? Price is accumulating in this area. We have this double bottom here. Price pushes up here. And we have this range of sorts, right? And what do we see happen here? Price trades down, taking out these lows. And again, look at the price action following, taking out that liquidity. It runs to the upside, targeting the top side. You guys see that? Where most people would probably be looking for buying on this support level, it dips below, taking out all these lows, taking out that liquidity before price runs, targeting the upside, right? So let me show you what we traded on this, right? So now when we have this big expansion, it's the same exact thing that I was showing you on a monthly time frame, right? You can see this candle here, right? That last down candle that took out these lows before price ran. Right, that would be a point of interest here. And again, higher time frame candles, monthly time frame, we're going to take the 50% of those as well. All right, let's take the 50% of that candle. Let's go down to a weekly time frame. Right, what do we see lining up in the weekly time frame? We can also see when price was taking that liquidity, running to the upside, it created unhealthy price action here. So this is an indication that price is going to pull back, rebalancing this expansion. You can see imbalance in this area here, unhealthy price action here, and also needing to mitigate that monthly candle, right? So we're building confluence. We can see here price skipped right over this area, and that aligns perfectly with the top of that monthly bankers candle. All right, so now let's throw the fibs on this. We're going to take the swing low to the swing high, and we can see that also lines up with one of our favorite. So when you see us send trades out, the main areas that we're marking up for our entries is the 71 to the 78 area, right? So you can see the 71 and the 78. I'll make this green. And you can see that 786 area aligns right with that gap, right with that monthly bankers candle. This would be a point of interest for us on a monthly time frame to anticipate something like this. And then I'll show you how we can get lower time frame entries. Right? That's what we were looking for, and this is what we traded. And I'll show you how we got our entries right in this area here. Now, let me just show you, let me just run this so I can show you exactly how accurate this is just on a monthly time frame. Right? I'll move this arrow over here and watch exactly where it goes. Remember that box right there, that red box, that's the unhealthy price action. Right? Price slams into that area, and then look. Pushed up, came back and tested it after making a signature pattern, and then runs. Identifying a reversal point based on smart money concepts and what really is taking place. You guys see how we got that reversal point? Does everybody see how we got to that point? Right? So now let me show you exactly how we can take something like this, right? Finding those potential turnaround points, those reversal points, right? Those logical areas, like I like to call them, right? This would have been our logical area, right? And again, using these on higher time frames, this is, so if we're looking at price up here, right? When price was back up in this ballpark here, we're using these monthly time frames for dual purpose. One, because we know price is coming back to this area, right? It's got to mitigate this FU candle, and it's also got to fill that unhealthy price action. So we're selling and we're targeting this area, right? Then when price gets to this area, that's when we shift and we go into buying, right? So we're using these areas, these logical areas for profit taking or targeting and looking for potential trade opportunities. Right? These logical areas, right? This is important. These logical areas like this, and you can find these logical areas. What I'm doing here, you can do it on every time frame. When you find these areas, this is where you're going to find those signature patterns, right? The signature patterns that are creating the expansions, the start of the expansions. And let me show you what I mean. And I remember this setup specifically because we got a 1 minute entry. It was either a 1 or a 5 minute entry off of this, based off of this monthly turnaround area, right? This monthly logical area, right? So let me, I hope I can go back that far on, I probably can't, but we're gonna try. Let's do this, right? So this is the area that we wanna get back to here on a lower time frame. I don't know if I can do that on a 1 minute because it's too much data, but we can probably do it on like a 5 minute or maybe a 15 minute. Yeah, it's too much data for the 5 minute. Let's try the 15 minute. 15 minute will probably be good. 15 minute, oh, we're not. That's a bummer. I think it's like right in this area too. Let's try the 30. That's just unfortunate, but let's see what we can get here. Yeah, that was way off. All right, so here's our area there that we circled when we came into that area. Let's see if we can get it out of there. Zoom in. All right, so we can kind of see it here. I'm going to get rid of these lines so we can see everything clearly, right? So this is the price action that was taking place when we got into that area, right? Now, I remember this one too because this is one that I missed. This was, that one kind of pained me, but this one down here and this candle here, this is where we got an entry. We had a couple entries down in this area here. right? We got a nice break of structure. Price came back and traded up back into that area before giving a nice push. Let me go to a 1 hour. Might be a little easier here. I don't know where that price action just went. There we go. All right, let me go to 1 hour. And then we'll go to the current price action. All right, but finding these points, these turnaround points, these logical areas on a monthly time frame, they're very important. All right, so here we go here. All right, so this is when price traded into that area. We can see a little bit cleaner here, right? So it's almost the same thing that happened, right? You can see this area, this started developing right when we got into that logical area, right? And we can see equal lows forming, liquidity, right? Price traded down into that area, taking out this area here, right? Because when you see price push down and trade up like this and break structure, people are looking for pullbacks here and look to buy, right? And that's enticing people to come into the marketplace too early, right? And again, they're going to position themselves to buy lower, right? Building this liquidity, they trade down into this area. These are FU candles, taking out that liquidity. Then price pushes up and trades up, breaking structure, right? You can see these highs here. Price trades up, breaking that structure. So now our shift goes to that FU candle, right? That last down candle before that up move, right? There it is here. And this is how you get pinpoint accuracy trades with very low risk and high reward, right? Look at this trade here. Right, we're taking the top of that candle here, and we're taking the bottom of this candle, right? Because that was the last down candle that took out these equal lows here in our logical area before pushing up. So we're taking the stop loss on the bottom of that candle. Let me do it like this so you can see what it looked like in real time. All right, so we're taking that last down candle, price started pushing up. We're looking at here a 13.2 pip stop loss, and we would be, first target here was this high, right? We're targeting highs and lows, equal highs, etc. So just to this set of highs here, which is close to equal highs because we have this level here, right? Another break retest level. This trade here, right? And this is why, regardless of our win record, regardless of how many pips we gain on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, that we're able to consistently get positive gains because of a trade like this. 12.5 to 1, 13.2 pip stop loss, and 163 pips, right? Just for some perspective, 12.5 to 1. If you risk 1%, you're increasing your account with 12.5% on one trade. If you risk 2% on your trades and you take a setup like this and you smash this TP, you're increasing your account by 25% on a single trade, and not for hundreds and hundreds of pips. And typically I like to look for 10 to 1s for like 100 pips or less, right? And watch the accuracy. Price comes back down to that FU candle that grabbed the liquidity, and then look at the reaction, that push up. Oops, let me get out of that. Let me stop this here before it runs too far. All right, you guys see the accuracy? You see how we found that logical area and then what we're looking for? Well, there was actually, I can't show it because I can't go down in lower time frame, but the candle that we played was in here. It's just showing up as wick. But it's the same thing, right? We don't want price to trade below this area. It's just, I can't get down into a lower time frame just because this data was this was back in the beginning of the year, right? On lower time frame, it cuts off the data. Like I can't go back like months and months and months on a 1 minute time frame. It's just they don't store that data on TradingView. Right? And then this is the start of the run, right? That was the start. Like finding these type of reversal points, this is where you can really catch those big runners, right? And this, if you exit out of this, you go to a daily, right? That was the start of this, right? Look at that, was that little setup that we just marked up right down there. And that was the start of that run, right? So where do you think we're going? Where do you think we're going? Based on what we see here, right? That's an old trade, right? We can mark up things in hindsight all day. Let's mark up something now. Where do you think we're going? There's three things that I'm targeting right now. What do you think they are? So that my stop loss would have been on the body. Where you're always using the body. Like, same thing for this, right? Like if I'm looking at this candle here, right, I would use that for my entry, and that would be the stop loss, right? I typically don't like candles with a lot of wick on the top, right? And when I see the wick, that's when I hammer down to lower time frames, because I'll find a candle higher up here in the wick. Typically, my FU candles or my banker's candles, I like to find the time frame that I'm not seeing wick. And if it's not a lot of wick and it's not affecting my risk reward too much, sometimes I'll just cover it, right? I'll just take the stop loss and make it a little bit bigger. Like I'll cover the wick, but for the most part, I'm using the bodies like that. Yeah, so the monthly banker's candle is one, right? Keep in mind the time of day, the time of month, and the time of year it is, right? It's the last day of the month, and we're in that fourth quarter, and we're coming to the end of the year. So all banks and these institutions, they're reaching for their targets, right? They're reaching for these monthly targets, and for a big one for me would be the top of this candle here, right? That previous high. Right? It's by no coincidence this is raging up to come back, because what's at the top of this candle here? What's at the top of that high? Who can tell me what's at the top of that high? 1, 2, 2. Yeah, so I'm looking at that. Somebody pointed out this banker's candle up here, that monthly candle. Yep. I'm looking for price to come back up here and take out these highs here. Yeah, the cash money. There's liquidity. That's why I like it. Liquidity is not just equal highs, right? That's why I like to use opens and closes of these candles, all right, daily candles, for like previous day open, previous day close. I like to line up bankers candles with those for support and resistance, right? And I like to look for previous day highs and lows for targets, right? That's what's being targeted. So given what we're seeing here on a monthly time frame, this was the expansion after taking out that liquidity pool down here. This was our flag, our pullback that came right into our logical area, right? Like if you take away the smart money concepts and you just look at what took place structurally, right? It took out, I'm sure everybody can see here, it took out these lows. Like all you got to do is pay attention to what happened before the big move, right? This was the big move. Like that's our trading range right here. Look, this is our trading range. Our swing low to our swing high, right? What took place before that big push? Price took out these two lows, right? Took out those two lows before running. So what is this push to the downside here? Is that an expansion? Is that a reversal? Is that consolidation? Is that ranging? Is that a retracement? What is it? No, I will not be trading all December. I've already slowed down tremendously. But I'll probably trade, it's a 5-week month, so I'll probably be trading, the next 3 or so weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, give or take, probably up to the week of Christmas. Yeah, this is a retracement here, right? So it's just finding that logical area of where it's going to retrace to, right? And that's what we identified, that monthly bankers candle here, that last down candle. We also know inside that monthly candle, that was where we had the gap, right? With price reverse here, with the gap right below it, chances of that, very slim, right? And we also know that our swing to our swing high, it also falls right in our 71, 78. So you can see like three things were stacked up there, right? Our monthly bankers candle, that little bit of unhealthy price action that gave us that gap that was like somewhere right in that ballpark, and the 78, which is part of the 71, 78, our primary target zone. So we had three things overlapping. That becomes our logical area. This becomes that point of interest that we're watching on lower time frames for this to start showing signs that this is going to start continuing, because we know this is a flag. And with that information, we know we're looking for that continuation, right? Targeting this high up here, ultimately targeting something like that, right? Especially with a bearish DXY, right? Does that make sense? And now what looks like is taking place here is we have that bullish rally here. We have this little bit of a pullback, and now we have this monthly engulfing candle here. Looks like we're targeting that previous high here in that monthly. Looks like targeting this high up here, right? Looks like we could be targeting, right? We have a lot of different areas up here, all to the upside, right? So if we go down to the weekly, let's take a look at the weekly. Let's go to the daily instead. Right, again, right, you look at these equal lows right here, or I'll just take the low. I'll just take that low. Right, here's the previous high that I've been looking at today, the target. Now, it's the same thing that I just showed you on that weekly time frame. Look what takes place before a run. Right, we got like that low there, basically equal lows, and then look what takes place here. Grabbing liquidity, slams down, you can see it there, wicks, and then takes off. Right, you got a little bit of a retracement there. Right, a little bit of a retracement there. Price starts pushing up, comes right into that candle right there. Let's go down to a lower time frame. Let's go to 15. You know, we might just go to let's go to a 1 hour. Was I on a 1 hour there? No. What was that? A daily? All right, yeah, so that was a daily, right? So this is another way of doing it too, right? Now that we have some direction, we can see price just took liquidity. We know we're in that expansion on the weekly, right? We can see price pushing up here, taking out this high here. Also gave us a perfect set of equal highs. Target, always follow the money. Wherever the money's sitting is where you want to be targeting, right? Let's drop down to a 4 hour. Let's drop down to a 1 hour. Is this current? No, it can't be current. We gotta be close to current price action. All right, there's current price action there. All right, so this was actually an area here that I was watching when I was looking for price to come up and take out those equal highs. That was a candle there that we were watching last week. That last down candle that took out this low, price pushed up, gave that high. We were looking for it to come down here, and it just never reached that area. And then it started pushing up. So it's almost the same thing that we were looking for here. It took place here. Right? We're looking for a price to push back down into that candle. It never happened. Price pushed up here, pulled back down into that candle, and now it's trading up. What was that? That can't be too big. About 13 pips, ran for 113. So that's a good risk reward trade right there. Right to where we saw today, which was very close to taking out that high. I mean, that was just under 8 to 1. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're seeing now. Yeah, so being so close, I mean, and in that area too, like a lot of people, they're not looking at that as a high. They're just looking at this like what? Right? Support, resistance. That level there is just a resistance or whatever you want to call it, double top or whatever, right? People are looking for shorts. Let's see here. We were also looking at this area today too. This was something that we're very close to sending out to the team today. What are you guys seeing here? Probably some of the OGs will see it. Newer people probably not so much yet. But we had a signature pattern in here. Same thing, right? We have these lows, right? Equal lows, price push down, slam down, enticing sellers. Right? These highs, price pushed up, took out the highs, signature pattern. We were looking for price to come a little bit deeper into this, and it looks like it came short of that too. And it came down into that candle. And we thought this was going to be the push up to take out that all-time high. It started pushing up, and then it came very close, and then reversed pretty hard. So we would have made some money on it, but it just never came to that entry, which is all good. But even a little move like that, where we were looking more like a 50% of that candle there. I think it was a lower time frame on that signature. I mean, up to where it did reverse, that was still a 6 to 1. So if we did connect on that, we were looking for a 5 to 1, which would have been a 10% gain off a 2% risk. So, but now we have a pretty significant move to the downside now. But that's not enough to start selling, right? Like one push to the downside, what could that be doing, right? It could be filling in balance. It could be taking out liquidity, right? You need more than one push to the downside, taking out a couple lows to consider that a selling opportunity, because how is this any different right here? Right? How is that any different right here? Price pushed up, slams down, takes out this low here, right? That's not selling, right? That's just a low taken out. And the next thing you know, it keeps on climbing, right? You can probably say the same thing right here as well, right? Price started pushing up. It took out a couple lows here. You can see if I flick over the line chart, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low. Price slammed down. Right? A lot of people probably looked to short, maybe even retail or smart money people even looking to sell that as well, because that one was technically an FU candle because it took out these equal highs here, right? And then came right into that last down candle there, right? So we're not looking to sell just yet. I mean, as tempting as that looks, we want this to be the other way around. We would like to have something like that be for the buying. A lot of people immediately go to that and start shorting. We still think there's more targets to the upside, but you want to see price really tell you structurally what it's doing. Like just taking a one push to the downside, one strong bearish move that takes out some lows, that's not automatically selling. That's just saying, hey, you know, this could go bearish here, but structurally on higher time frame, I've been trending up for quite some time, right? I would need to see price come and actually play this and then push down here, right? That would give us that lower high. And that would be confirmed when it took out this low here, right? That would tell me, okay, now this is shifting, and now there'd be a new banker's candle here. And then I'd look to short that one, right? When I have more information, this would be a very high risk sell with all you have is just a couple lows taken out, right? So for me, there's a couple points of interest there, because if you look at the real trading range here on a higher time frame, right, here was our last swing. swing low, swing high. So right now, technically, we're just in retracement. So we can do the same exact thing that we just did on that monthly time frame for what we're seeing here, right? We have our last down candle before that up move, right? We can take the 50% of that as well. Maybe we want to see. I'm not doing this exact, but I'm just doing it for example's sake here, because I know we've been going for a little bit of time now. I'm going to try to wrap this up on this, right? Let's throw the fibs on the swing, right? Swing low to swing high. All right, we can see our 71, 78 right in this area here. It lines up more with the 50%, right? So if this is going to start pulling back and come into a logical area like what we're seeing here, right? We can see price do this, come back into this area, just like what I showed you, here, right? Where we have the candle here, right? Last down candle, price traded down just short, and then it pushed up, right? You have this last point of interest here, last down candle before price pushed up here, traded down and then traded up. That's what we'd be looking for here. Let me get rid of these marks. Right, so I personally wouldn't trade this candle. I wouldn't look for an entry on that. Right, a little bit too much wick down here for me. But what I would be doing here to trade something like this is exactly what I did on that monthly time frame. Right, we have that where we have the imbalance. We had that monthly bankless candle where that gap was, where it lined up with the 786.